Hey everyone, I'm Laura Godenik. I'm an astrologer and a therapist, and I'm here to give you the astrology for the weeks of May 27th through June 9th, 2024. And in case you're wondering why it looks like I am in a hotel room, it's because I am. I am currently in Seattle for the NORWAC Astrology Conference, and so I am in a hotel room. And I do aim to give the astrology with a therapeutic lens, which to me means ways to cope with energy that is sometimes out of our control, but as well as approach the astrology with a more empowering view of what can I do with this energy? How can I respond to it? How can I respond to myself when I have big feelings that come up in response to what happens to me? And so that's really my aim and goal, is to hopefully leave you feeling courageous, empowered, in touch with your needs, and in touch with what you want as well. So, and if you connect with this content or you find it useful, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. I love hearing how the astrology is impacting people. It helps me learn, and I would love to hear from you. So with that being said, let's get started. So Monday, the 27th of May, which is today, I apologize for recording this video a little late, but we had Mercury in Taurus making a sextile to Saturn in Pisces. Mercury is planet of the mind, communication, how we think. Saturn is commitment, stability, focus, getting things done. So today might have been a good day to get things done, especially things that require focus, things that are more kind of mentally taxing, studying, making lists, just kind of like, go. And just kind of stabilizing focus. So really, really good time for that. Also very quick transit, so you might not even really notice it. On Wednesday, the 29th, we have Mars making a conjunction, coming to the same degree as Chiron. Mars is a planet about taking action. It's our anger, how we express anger, how we deal with conflict. Mars can be irritating. And Chiron is an asteroid that reflects where we feel a little bit wounded or triggered or pain. So this could be a bit spicy on a wound or on a cut. So just being mindful if you're feeling extra irritable or sensitive or upset on Wednesday, this could be reflecting that. And it would be a good day to do any sort of self-care practices, take care of yourself, be with yourself, the part of you that gets angry or is hurt. And I like to use a lot of internal family systems language. If for those of you who don't know what that is, it's essentially kind of viewing the self as an internal family system. Like, we're not only one being, but we have many parts of us, and some parts of us are wounded and experience and carry and hold all of our pain, and other parts of us are protecting us from that pain. And then of course there's the core self, which is innately good. And so with Mars coming to conjunct Chiron, being with, supporting, hearing, listening, holding the part of us that might be a little triggered or upset or wounded. So I'm actually gonna see if I can try to set down this camera because my arm is getting a little tired. I apologize for the shakiness. Okay, there we go. Oh, so much better. Also, Mars coming up to this conjunction with Chiron might also kind of trigger things that were happening or have been happening with the eclipse that we had just about a month ago. And that's because the eclipse happened like on the degree of Chiron. So whatever big changes or shifts we've been going through that might have to do with what hasn't felt good, or where things have felt maybe icky or sticky, or maybe getting in touch with our boundaries. This is kind of the maybe last trigger of addressing those changes that happened kind of back in the beginning of April. And that's just because planets that are transiting, like the slower moving planets, when they hit the point of an eclipse in transiting motion, they're kind of like timing triggers. So just thinking back to around the beginning of April and the big changes that were that you were undergoing, perhaps with regards to relationships, to self, identity, who you are and what you need and what your desires are, as well as like maybe what you've had to separate from or cut off from. Whatever changes were happening around those themes, this might be kind of like one last hurrah regarding those changes, or maybe one last conversation or one last boundary put up, or one last kind of like final action taken. Mars is the planet of action taken to kind of like close or complete the change, if that makes sense. Also I would encourage you to pay attention to your anger, what triggers it, and where you haven't expressed it. Often we get the messages that anger is bad, that, especially women, femme folks, that we shouldn't have anger, we shouldn't have desires or wants. We're here to like serve this world of men. And so especially women who maybe repress anger, which can be very damaging to the immune system, by the way. I would pay attention to your anger, honor it, find ways to express it, be with it, don't hold it in. Okay, and then Thursday the 30th, Mercury, planet of the mind, of communication, of our thoughts, makes a conjunction coming together with the planet Uranus, which is a planet about unexpected breakthroughs, revelation, revolution, change, chaos. This might be a day where you have innovative ideas or aha moments, kind of just moments of insight. Also pay attention to potentially having like a racing mind. Uranus can feel very chaotic and heady, and like thoughts coming like boom, 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 which can be a little overwhelming for Mercury. So any sort of grounding activities to calm your mind, any sort of like, getting more into your body can be really useful. And so that could be anything from things like dancing to just simple sitting in a chair, feeling your feet on the ground, feeling your back against the chair, even just like tapping or like rubbing your temples or your face. These kinds of things can help with Mercury-Uranus aspects that can become overwhelming. Also pay attention to change with regards to your Mercury ruled houses. If you're more well versed in astrology, that's going to be the houses that have Gemini and Virgo on the cusp. There might be some changes to those houses. And also, we did have a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction also about a month ago, maybe a little more than a month ago. Let's see, it was end of April. End of April. So Mercury coming to conjoin Uranus is continuing to carry out the Jupiter-Uranus agenda that started at the end of April. And so whatever that's going to be very specific and unique to each person depending on where that happened in your chart. So I can't, get too detailed, but essentially the Jupiter-Uranus agenda, Jupiter is a planet about faith, hope, our philosophy, our belief system, opportunity. Uranus is breakdowns, breakthroughs, drastic change. So that aspect really, like the goal of that aspect is to free us from something that has felt constrictive or withholding, or where we feel a little trapped or stuck. So Mercury coming up to conjoin Uranus on Thursday the 30th is like the last maybe step in that freeing yourself of the situation, whether it just be through thinking about it differently, thinking about the situation differently. So be open to changing your mind. Be open to thinking about whatever happened back at the end of April, thinking about that situation differently. We tell ourselves stories all the time that might not be true and are based on assumption or thinking errors, where it's like very black or white thinking. So this is a good moment to expand your mind and your vision and consider other alternatives. Okay, Sunday the 2nd, Mercury makes a sextile to Neptune. This stimulates our imagination, our compassion, our dreams. You might like have more dreams at this time. Also, Jupiter, planet of faith, hope, opportunity, or what we believe, is making a trine to Pluto, planet of what's beneath the surface, what's subterranean or unseen, what wants to be brought up into conscious awareness. So this might bring about deep insights into your beliefs, into your philosophy of life, transformations of faith or thoughts, maybe just a deeper look at your mind or your belief systems or something that you've always held to be true or the assumptions you make about life. And also gentle transformation of your Jupiter ruled houses. That's going to be houses that have Sagittarius and Pisces on the cusp. Also, there's just kind of this sense of like getting really rich with knowledge, like feeling really inspired to take a course in astrology, for instance, like really deepen. Pluto wants us to go deepen your knowledge with something, your relationship with something. Maybe it's like a spiritual practice you have and you're like, I really love this, but I want to know more about the history, or I want to know more about, this specific practice in it, right? So this is an invitation to do that. And this is really going to continue through Tuesday or even into Wednesday of June 4th and 5th. That's because Mercury, on Monday, June 3rd, Mercury heads into Gemini, makes the same trine to Pluto. I'm like doing a triangle with my fingers. That's the symbol for trine. Mercury comes into Gemini, conjoins Jupiter, and makes this trine to Pluto at the same time. So kind of just the continuation of these themes, deeper insights, good time to have deeper like conversations with people around faith, around something you're wanting to study. Good time for writing, self-reflection, and just like your mind might just be expanding like crazy. You might just like have some really intense insights that might change the foundational philosophy from which you are living. Like, it's a really amazing opportunity to transform your mind, because we all live our lives according to some philosophy of life, whether we know it or not. So yeah, this is really about broadening your perspective and deepening your perspective and your knowledge. So on the same day, Tuesday the 4th, Venus, goddess of love, beauty, relationships, pleasure, connection, art, makes a conjunction with the sun. So this is really about bringing insight or having an aha moment or realizations around those Venusian themes: relationships, love, what you value, what your needs are for pleasure and beauty. And kind of Venus coming into this conjunction with the sun kind of like resets your relationship with these themes. So it's a really good time to set intentions. Anytime a planet comes into a conjunction with the sun, it's kind of like a new moon. You can kind of like set intentions around the themes of that planet. This is like a new moon for Venus. So this is a good time to set intentions for what you desire your relationship to be to art, to beauty, to pleasure, to relationships, right? Like, are you someone who's like, I don't deserve to have fun? And like, who do you want to be? Do you want to be someone who like deserves all the pleasure in the world, right? So it's a good time to kind of examine your relationship with that. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to mention as well, when Mercury heads into Gemini, Mercury is at home in the sign of Gemini. And so there's just a couple of things, like Mercury is going to be in Gemini for a couple of weeks. You might just notice generally like being more of a chatterbox, having a lot, like maybe a more mental activity, just an activity in general. Mercury is a planet that moves very quickly, rules kind of like day-to-day functions or day-to-day activities along with the moon. Gemini is like the social butterfly, the person who has like their foot in all the groups, all the social groups. So that's going to be important for Mercury people. So if you have like a lot of Mercury, like Virgo or Gemini planets in your chart, it's a good time for you. Okay, moving on. So Thursday the 6th, we have a new moon in Gemini at 16 degrees of Gemini. New moons are great times to set intentions. Generally speaking, unless it's like a new moon that is a bit difficult. But this new moon is amazing, and that's because we have both benefics in the sign of Gemini. We have Venus, goddess of love, beauty, pleasure, and Jupiter, god of peace, abundance, and opportunity, and wisdom in Gemini. So, along with Mercury, the ruler of Gemini. So it's a really good time to set intentions around perhaps the house in your chart that contains Gemini, whatever house that is for you, those themes. And just know the next month was going to be probably pretty busy. The new moon, like whatever the astrology is of the new moon, like wherever all the planets are, tell us about what the month ahead is going to be like. So with all these planets in Gemini, we're all going to be busy, like jumping from group to group, chit-chatting all around with several different kinds of people, asking questions, being social butterflies, and just being busy generally. So good time to like schedule some alone time and downtime in the next month on that lunation. So okay, and then Saturday the 8th, that weekend is a little tricky, I think, or maybe like not as pleasurable as or easeful as the days before. We have Venus making a square to Saturn. Venus, goddess of love, beauty, pleasure. Squares are difficult aspects, and Saturn is a planet that likes to say no, negate, put up boundaries. So there could be some restraint in relationships. There could be, needing to talk about boundaries in relationships. It might be that things aren't as fun as you thought. You might just feel a little disconnected or a little lonely or potentially rejected. And I would encourage you, if that's the case, to once again notice the thoughts you're having and question their validity, right? Is that person really rejecting me, or is this a story that I tell myself because of something that happened in my childhood, right? Like, just kind of like, there's a way you can be with your experience and your feelings while also questioning the validity of whether the story is true or not, right? So, yeah, I would say Venus square Saturn, it's a good time to maybe manage expectations around like fun and connection. It's not like you can't have it, but it might not be as available. And a good time to like work on something Venus-y in a Saturn way, right? So working on something Venus-y means like maybe working on an art project or a collaboration, or working on your own sense of self-worth or something, and spending some more serious quality time with those themes and topics, maybe alone or maybe just like with one other person. But it's just like, Venus things aren't as available and abundant as they usually are, but that doesn't mean that we can't work with the energy. Okay. Also on Saturday the 8th, Mars goes into Taurus, which I can't remember how long Mars will be in Taurus, but usually Mars is in a sign for about 6 weeks. So it'll be about 6 weeks. Mars in Taurus wants us to go at a slow, steady, sustainable pace, which might feel a little bit difficult with all this Gemini activity happening, right? Gemini like wants to do everything like 1,000 times over, like super fast, and then 10 times again. And Mars in Taurus is like, no. And like just wants to go slow and steady and relax and focus on security, and like that's going to be hard, or that can be difficult with all of this emphasis in Gemini. So you're going to have to maybe find ways to contend with those two needs or desires. Like, how can you honor Mars in Taurus and work, put your energy towards things that are stable and secure and sustainable, and that provide security or stability? And how can you allow your Gemini stuff to float free and explore and be curious and go on adventures, right? Okay. And then, oh yeah, Mars and Taurus also might have you feeling more protective over the things that are yours, your money, your stuff. There might just be a sense of like not being as willing to take risks, which is totally fine. There's a season for everything. And yeah, it's just kind of more of this like careful, routine, restrained energy, and that's because that's what Mars is looking for. Okay, and then on Sunday the 9th, the Sun also makes that square to Saturn, so themes continued of when Venus made those themes on Saturday the 8th. Just things might feel a little bit more restrained, or you might have to like work hard on something or focus your attention on something more serious, or thinking more about the long term. And it just might feel like you have to work hard. So yeah, joy and fun might not feel as available because it might not be as available, and that's fine. So, okay, that is the astrology for the next couple weeks. I hope this was useful. I'm available for consultations. Please reach out. Otherwise, I'll be back in a couple weeks with another astrological update, and I hope you have a wonderful couple of weeks. Okay, bye.